You can keep your football goals or your touchdowns or your take that sing-alongs because none of them compare to the ear-splitting noise of a live wrestling pop. Except maybe when Gary Barlow takes his shirt off. Whoa! That moment when something exciting or unexpected happens and the thousands of people in attendance all cheer at once, that is what wrestling is all about. And when it comes to big moments that got even bigger reactions, there is nowhere better than World Wrestling Entertainment. WWE has consistently provided fans with awe-inspiring moments to lose their minds to. Big returns, big debuts, big title wins, you name it, WWE has done it, with those who witness these moments responding in deafening fashion. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are the 10 biggest pops in WWE history. Join us. Number 10, Bulldog's big win. When it comes to monster pops, it helps to have a monster-sized crowd. Enter the 80,000+ people at Wembley Stadium for SummerSlam 1992. These British fans have gone down in history as one of the biggest and best crowds in the history of wrestling. Their crowning moment came at the climax of the show when hometown hero Davey Boy Smith won the Intercontinental Championship. Before you say anything, we know that Davey wasn't from London, but WWE don't care, so why should we? This is the company that tried to convince us that Drew McIntyre was Welsh for a minute there. The British Bulldog squared off against brother-in-law Brett in the main event with the IC title on the line. After Hart had to walk Davey through every single spot, apparently he'd spent most of the weeks leading up to the event being naughty with Jim Neidhart, Bulldog reversed a sunset flip and pinned the champion to a huge ovation from the partisan audience. The elation felt by the crowd is infectious, and the pop is still as joyous to hear now as it was over 30 years ago. Now that is a high that I can get behind. Number 9, Raw is Jericho. The Monday Night Wars were a hell of a time to be a wrestling fan. With WWE and WCW desperate to outdraw the other, every single episode of Raw and Nitro was a must-see just in case somebody from one company turned up in the other. The biggest defection from Atlanta to Stamford took place on the 9th of August 1999. After weeks of mysterious messages counting down to the supposed new millennium, the clocks finally ran out midway through a promo by The Rock. An unfamiliar theme and video started playing until the Titantron displayed a single word: Jericho. Out walked Y2J, the talented WCW star who had been kept firmly in the mid-card due to backstage politics. Despite being held back, he was still extremely popular, and the fans raised the roof when he walked out. Not only did the Ayatollah of rock and roller get weeks of build-up to his arrival, but he was seemingly already being positioned as a major player in WWE, and the fans reacted to this positively. Jericho has had more shock returns and debuts than he's had catchphrases at this point, but you never forget your first. Number 8, John Cena and Edge at the Royal Rumble. Choosing just one Royal Rumble return for this list was damn near impossible. In fact, it was impossible, so we've chosen 2 instead. Rumours that retired Hall of Famer Edge was making his return at the 2020 Royal Rumble proved to be true when the opening sting of "You Think You Know Me" echoed around Minute Maid Park. Edge was back after 9 years out with injury, and he looked better than ever. The crowd's huge pop when he entered through a cloud of smoke was proof that his presence on WWE TV had been sorely missed. As for John Cena, he hadn't been gone nearly as long as his old rival, but his comeback in 2008 was still pretty damn impressive. In a match against Mr. Kennedy on Raw, Cena tore his pectoral muscle and was sidelined for several months. Several turned into just a few pretty quickly because John Cena is not human. He came back way ahead of schedule as the 30th man in the Rumble, eventually eliminating Triple H to win the whole thing. It's one of the biggest cheers Cena has ever gotten, which is surprising because everyone hated him at the time. Number 7, The Beast returns. Brock Lesnar's first exit from WWE in 2004 was a complete mess. Tired of life on the road, fans were aware that Brock was quitting ahead of his match with Goldberg at WrestleMania 20. Since Goldberg was leaving too, the crowd absolutely dumped on both of them, turning it into one of the most awkward encounters in the show's history. Lesnar tried and failed to start a career in professional football. He was much more successful in the UFC though, but McMahon money is a powerful force and he made his triumphant comeback to WWE the night after WrestleMania 28. Considering how he left the promotion, you'd expect fans to have booed Lesnar back to the octagon. But instead, they came unglued as the meatiest man in all of combat sports strode out onto the stage to stare John Cena square in the eye. Not only was Brock back, but he had inserted himself right at the top of the card against the company's biggest star. This only made the crowd scream even louder. Now, all he had to do was win his first match back against Cena at Extreme Rules, and then... Wait, what? He lost? You're joking. Number 6, the guest host is... Ahead of WrestleMania 27, everyone was trying to guess who the advertised guest host of the show would be. Ryan Seacrest? Bob Barker? Justin Bieber? The list of suspects was long, but nobody saw the real answer coming, not even the millions and millions of his fans. When the time came for the reveal, the lights dropped around the arena. Then the immortal words, "If you smell," cut through the darkness like a knife. The Rock was back. Dwayne Johnson made his first live Raw appearance in 7 years to an atomic reaction from those in attendance. The movie star slowly made his way out of the curtain, drinking in the huge volume of noise being made solely for him. The Rock's return was a huge shot in the arm for WWE and created a much-needed buzz around the upcoming WrestleMania. And this wasn't just a one-time deal either, as the Brahma Bull would compete in a number of matches after this comeback and even won the WWE Championship in 2013. Actually, let's not bring that up. CM Punk will find out we're talking about it and come for us. Regardless of what happened after, this return was, in a word, electrifying. Number 5, the Hardy Boys are back. When the New Day announced that a fourth duo was entering the Raw Tag Team Championship ladder match at WrestleMania 33, many people expected the team to reveal themselves as the added participants, which would have been fine, if not predictable. But then, the Hardys' music hit. Matt and Jeff made their way down to the ring as the Orlando crowd lost their minds. Not only had this legendary team not been seen in WWE for over 8 years, they had just come off the back of exceptional runs in TNA and Ring of Honor. Plus, these guys had just had a ladder match with the Young Bucks just 24 hours earlier. What the hell were they doing here? Broken Matt Hardy had injected new life into the older sibling, paving the way for Jeff to become Brother Nero and all the brilliant wackiness that followed. Their return at Mania appealed to everyone, old fans who remembered them from the Attitude Era and new ones who knew them from their Broken days. Combine this with an audience of 75,000 odd people and that is a recipe for a wonderful reaction. Number 4, time to play the game. Depending on how you look at it, Triple H tearing his quads in 2001 was either a terrible thing or maybe a stroke of luck. Trips missed out on 7 months of his career and the injury interrupted his run as a top heel alongside Stone Cold Steve Austin. But on the other hand, this took him out of the entirety of the invasion angle, so he didn't have to get involved in any of that rubbish. After healing up and probably waiting an extra bit to make sure the invasion was done, Triple H made his long-awaited return in January of 2002. The response to the game's comeback was as ludicrous as his giant denim jacket. Fans went berserk the moment they heard that iconic Motorhead opening chord and almost did permanent damage to Madison Square Garden by blowing its roof clean off. He might have been a dastardly heel when he left, but this reaction to his return confirmed that the game was now a full-on good guy. Did this work in the long run? Not really, because it led to that terrible feud with Jericho and Stephanie, but at least we got that moment out of it. Number 3, Punk in Chicago. Phil Brooks might not be everyone's cup of tea, and I don't think he's on the Elite's Christmas card list anymore, but even his staunchest critic wouldn't deny the power of this night. CM Punk got everyone's attention with his industry-rattling pipe bomb promo on Raw, where he verbally ran down everyone from John Cena to John Laurinaitis to Vince McMahon himself. This came while he was building to a WWE Championship match with Big Match John, set to go down at Money in the Bank. Hang on, that show's in Chicago, and CM Punk's from Chicago. What are the chances? When Punk arrived in Chicago, he was treated like a god. To this crowd, Punk represented anti-establishment. He represented change. He represented hope that the stale, sterilized, Cena-led era of WWE was heading for the bin. These people didn't just want him to win, they needed it. To be honest, this entire match could be an entrant on this list, as the crowd were deafening throughout, but few things will ever top his entrance that night. There's a good reason AEW booked his return for the same city. Number 2, Austin's Backlash. After the disappointing end of WrestleMania 2000, fans were hoping to see The Rock finally unseat Triple H as WWE Champion 1 month later at Backlash. The champ had the backing of the McMahons, and everything was set up to ensure that the Great One failed. However, Rocky had an ace up his sleeve, a beer-drinking, bald-headed ace. Just when it looked like the match was over, the glass shattered, and so did the sound barrier. Stone Cold Steve Austin, chair in hand, made his way down to the ring to help his former rival take out Triple H and his goons. Austin was still recovering from major neck surgery and hadn't been on TV regularly for about 5 months. Fans were ecstatic to see him back, especially when he helped the Brahma Bull beat the Cerebral Assassin for the gold. From the moment Austin's music hits to the end of The Rock's celebrations, the fans do not let up for a single second. This is the sort of crowd reaction that made the Attitude Era so much fun to watch, and something that many say is sorely missing from wrestling today. Number 1, Mankind wins the big one. The first episode of Raw in 1999 was headlined by The Rock vs. Mankind for the WWE Championship. Mick Foley was out to achieve his dream of becoming world champion and to avenge his betrayal at the hands of the corporation at Survivor Series. With D-Generation X at ringside to combat the evil faction, Rock and Mankind got into a huge brawl that soon saw everyone on the outside fighting as well, except for Kane, who just sort of stood there for some reason. Whilst all this chaos was happening, the glass shattered and Stone Cold joined the melee. The audience were already at fever pitch before Austin's arrival, but his presence turned things up to 11. He then somehow turned things up even higher when he planted The Rock with a chair shot and allowed Mankind to make the cover and win the title. The culmination of a great match, an exciting interference, and a beloved wrestler finally winning the big one created the perfect conditions for the perfect crowd reaction.